From a man caught with drugs while hunting illegally.
Whose land were you hunting on?
I honestly don't know whose land it was.
Oh, wonderful. So you're floating down the river with a bow, looking to shoot a deer on somebody else's land.
To a woman facing charges of masterminding theft.
The charge is conspiracy to commit larceny over $20,000, which has to do with a truck.
Here are 3 moments that show the reality of crimes as judge demands accountability. Starting with Mr. McKenzie, caught with meth while illegally hunting deer on someone else's land, down to his claims of past responsibility and promises of reform. It's pathetic how this man thinks he can just bring up excuses for his recklessness.
242185, People versus Gary Lee McKenzie. That's you, sir?
Yes, sir.
I don't believe I've ever seen a combination of charges like this. We're charged with possession of methamphetamine and hunting a deer with a bow without a license. First charge, the methamphetamine charge, is punishable by up to 10 years in prison and a fine of up to $15,000. The allegation in the second count is that you hunt deer with a bow or crossbow in the bow and arrow season without a bow and arrow license. That's punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a fine of up to $250, plus the cost of prosecution, plus license revocation for this year and next year. That's hunting license. This was authorized by Mr. Aubert back in December. Mr. Aubert, what's the plea offer here?
The offer is to plead to use of meth and count 2.
Some of these DNR fines can be very substantial. There's a penalty that goes like $7,500, $2,000, depending on what was shot. Mr. George, did you confirm the plea offer?
That's correct, Your Honor.
The felony charge is being dismissed, Mr. McKenzie, for a plea to use of methamphetamine. That is a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to a year in jail and a fine of up to $2,000. Do you understand the charge?
Yes, sir.
And then the other charge has to do with this hunting deer without a license. Now, you got extradited or had some other. Have you gone to Indiana and take care of the other stuff?
That'll all be taken care of on the 14th.
All right, we'll have to sort that out a little bit. Now, you got some unpaid stuff, no proof of insurance. They used to suspend your license for that. You have a final pretrial on a malicious destruction of property case set for January 16th. You also have another, that might be the same, no insurance. No, you have another one, 2 unpaid insurance tickets. Unpaid driving license expired. What was the charge in Noble County?
There was a hot railer. I sat there for 67 days, something like that. And they've got a plea, and I just got to go back on the 14th and sign the plea, and it's over with. So
you've also got a date here on the 16th. All right. Anybody threaten you to get you to plead to this?
No, sir.
Or promise you anything?
No, sir.
So you're floating down the river in your kayak on November 1st with a compound bow. Is that correct?
Right.
And did you have a bow hunting license?
I didn't, and if there's a way to look in history, I have had a deer hunt license every year since I was 14 years old. I just hadn't purchased one yet. I've just lost my hunting ground and made a bad mistake.
Whose land were you hunting on?
I honestly don't know whose land it was.
Oh, wonderful. So you're floating down the river with a bow looking to shoot a deer on somebody else's land. And did you actually shoot one?
I shot at one, yeah.
And then the DNR guys came and they found you had a meth pipe in your possession? All right.
I am clean, and I'm going to stay clean. I'm going to community mental health and having an evaluation, and I'm promising you, as I'm sitting here in front of you, I am done with this.
Well, that's good. I don't hunt. Judge Patterson's a big hunter.
Yeah, I know he is.
He doesn't like, I am a riparian riverfront property owner. I wouldn't like somebody floating down the river and shooting a deer off of my property. So this is just not good. You got a bunch of unpaid other stuff. You got charges pending in Indiana. Tim, I just set you for February 3rd. Can we set this also for February 3rd? Need police report. All right. Are you working someplace?
I am.
Where's that?
I do my subcontract for Dairy Queen and Stirs. The last 2 nights I've taken down all Christmas decorations and prepping to put up Valentine's decorations. I do outside landscaping, keep the parking lot clean, do windows, general maintenance.
I'd like you to pay your unpaid stuff.
I honestly just found out about this when I was arrested, and I fully intend to. I mean, I'm gonna start chipping it away.
All right. All right, I'll see you on February 3rd at 11 a.m.
Unlike Mr. Gray's case, this time it's Ms. Meadows blaming her landlord for everything, floods, damages, and even her own washer, while failing to provide proof or even proper complaints. Let's watch this.
Sycamore Meadows versus Autumn Meadows.
Query is named in P67390 on behalf of the plaintiff.
Good morning, Judge. Emily Rule Legal Services requesting permission to appear under Rule 1.820 under the supervision of Attorney General.
Permission to practice is granted. You think I managed you would get it. Anyway, all right. What are we doing on this one?
Judge, on this one, the research was completed. Last time we adjourned to get the interim research done. The interim research was completed by my client. I've updated the ledger. I'm showing that rent is still due in the amount of $5,061.89. There's court costs of $204, so the total is $5,265.89. If you recall, last time there was discussion about the water being in the basement, but it was coming from the washer. Ms. Meadows wanted compensation for the items that she claims were ruined in that. If Judge, this wasn't really brought before the court until that December date. No
Right.
counter complaint was actually filed. My client, when they signed the lease with Ms. Meadows, recommends that she gets renter's insurance. It's not mandatory, but recommends. She never made a claim with my client regarding damage to any of that personal property. There was testimony even at that time briefly that the water was coming from the washer or the drain. It wasn't draining properly. My client, I have maintenance here, but we had discussed it, I think, enough. So I would argue that there is no reason to have an abatement at this time. She can always file a small claims case if she finds that appropriate. We're not taking her rights away, but I'm asking for a judgment to be entered in the amounts that I prayed.
So just briefly to respond, so there was a counter complaint filed. I'm not sure, were you able to send that to opposing counsel when you filed? Okay, so it was in her file, but she did not know that she needed to send it to opposing counsel.
However, Judge, the council's just bringing this forth now in this January. This has been pending since July. I don't know about a counter complaint. I don't know about an answer. It was never brought forth in any of the discussions on this file until today when I told counsel that my position as to any kind of abatement at this point. And again, I would still make the argument that
I do also want to just put on the record that the flood that damaged the items that we are claiming for did occur before Ms. Meadows ever used the washer and dryer that had been installed in her basement.
Occurred before.
Yes, it happened before. She went down to the basement to go use her washer for the first time, and she discovered the flood.
Well, when was the washer installed?
Do you remember when the washer was installed? So we can look at the text that we have here, Father.
This rule is looking for is there's a contemporaneous text between Miss Meadows and her father, where she says that she went down in the basement to use the washer, and that the basement was flooded.
So yeah, and that occurred on March 8th.
March 8th of 2024. From the point of the washer install forward, the basement is flooded.
it always has water in it.
But I do want to clarify that things were damaged.
Pardon?
I do want to clarify that things were damaged before that. And actually, did you ever?
No, I heard you.
Okay.
But so between that time after the washer's installed and this claim or this period in time, was the landlord notified of the flooding?
I can tell you, I spoke with my client and the two maintenance men that are here. Since my client has taken over, there has never been one maintenance request for water in the basement. The maintenance man that is here, I spoke with him briefly before we came in here. The only maintenance requests that we have are no heat, like in furnace. And the last time he was there, which was either end of November, beginning of December, he saw water in the basement. And he asked Miss Meadows, where's this coming from? Why is there water? And she says it's because, and the washer was running at the time. It was from the washer. The maintenance man then did a repair so that he could run a new pipe for the water. He can explain that better if you want him to explain what he did. But to our knowledge, there has been no maintenance request for water in the basement. So, and he has been with Sycamore for 7 years, Judge.
So he was there before the
He was
new
there
management
before.
report.
He was
That's
there before.
was going to be my next question.
Yes.
So we do have texts with the maintenance person from old management about the basement.
But again, I haven't seen those yet either.
Is there any correspondence or anything to the landlord regarding these damages or anything prior to this?
I think that was an email from council to me, but is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Okay, but I guess maybe I'll put it this way. Before the attorneys got involved, when everything's peaceful, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Did tenant communicate with the landlord that there's a problem?
To my knowledge, and that was a question I asked as well, Judge, to my client, and all three of them have said no.
You mentioned to me that you had.
I've called several times and they never answered the phone.
And
Okay, hold on. But at some point, what you're indicating is that there's water in my basement. I call, no one's answering, is what you're telling. I'm presuming then you continue to call. At some point, somebody answered, do they?
At Sycamore Meadows? No.
Okay, did you put anything in writing to them?
I have this, okay, so the last Sycamore Meadows guy, I would text Rob. And in that situation where
Who the heck is Rob?
the old maintenance man, and even when the maintenance man just came in, when he just shared how he walked in and there was a water all over the floor, he literally said, Rob didn't fix this the way he was supposed to, which was the old maintenance man. And even the communication between new maintenance and new leasing, we didn't know.
The maintenance man that she's discussing is, he's been deceased now for 2 years.
Rob is not deceased.
Ron or Rob?
Robert, the same guy that you said, hey, he didn't fix this when you walked in.
I didn't say that.
I'm talking to the maintenance guy, sorry.
Okay, who installed the washer?
It's her washer, Judge.
so Your Honor, the washer that is currently in there was installed by Rent-A-Center.
Rent-A-Center.
Okay, so let me ask this. Is everybody in agreement that it's the washer that's causing the flooding?
No, Your Honor, because the first flood occurred before any washer was.
But was that reported? I mean, it's one thing to come here and tell me we had flooding 2022, but is there a report of that?
Has to be, yes. My whole strip has flooding issues.
I'm not talking about your whole strip. I'm talking about, was there a report of flooding in your unit? Did you report that to management? Did you do that in writing? Did somebody come out after you reported? And did what, to your understanding?
When he drained the snake or whatever was causing it, and he had to go to sorry to bring it up, the neighbor's house because theirs was draining as well.
Okay. So in the very first time that you noticed the flooding, is that when some of these items were damaged? Okay. So then my question becomes, after that point, there was another flood. You're set, correct? Were items damaged during that? Okay. Was there another flood? And were items damaged during that flood? Okay. So at some point, problem's going to be if the claim goes forward. After the first flood, she's going to have mitigation issues because she can't just do the same thing and then expect damages. There's also going to be a question of, well, let me ask it this way before I say there's a question. What does plaintiff or what does defendant have to say it's not the wash?
So most of the repairs that we are seeking compensation for occurred in that first flood before the washer was ever used. Additionally, if she was told to fix after the first flood, then that.
I didn't ask about your mitigation. I asked, my question is, what proofs do you have as to the cause of this water?
Only that it occurred before the washer was ever used and in fact damaged the washer so much that that washer was never used.
So other than there being water there, how are you attributing this to the landlord?
And I would just argue that Ms. Meadows was offered a habitable.
Pardon?
Ms. Meadows was offered a habitable building, including a basement that would not be in water. And there was water, and so that was.
No, but I mean, maybe I'll structure it this way. There can be a circumstance where the landlord, tenant calls, they don't take care of it, landlord could presumably then be responsible. There could be a circumstance where the landlord doesn't do something and then it causes something to happen and then the landlord would be responsible.
So, Your Honor, our response to that would be that the whole unit and whole building has significant water issues and that the landlord would have been on notice of that, and also the fact that numerous maintenance requests are put in and no one is answering.
Yeah, but what kind of water issue?
I sent this all to the court. They came in and fixed it, and I believe they know what I'm talking about. I was having issues with my shower upstairs. It was water coming down from the kitchen, and it was all in the basement. There's plumbing issues in that whole building.
Okay, but that's,
The reason why I am asking, why I'm blaming the landlord is because the washer and dryer that I'm paying for now from Rent Center, I should not even have to pay for it because of the first flood. And they just fixed this water damage.
what does that mean? You shouldn't have to pay for it.
Because she had a washer, but then that washer was damaged in the first flood, so she had to get a new washer that she still needs.
So let me just ask this. That first flood, how much water are we talking?
Up to my calves.
And you're saying that damaged your wash. And what proofs are you going to give to the court to show that?
That is a broken washer and dryer that I'm paying for Rent Center right now.
No, that I just see significant proof problems because you're telling me that a washer and a dryer got damaged. I'm presuming you don't have the old ones are. Is there anybody that has said that damage, that this flooding damaged that washer and dryer?
The old crew from the leasing office. The old leasing office crew.
Can I just,
Said what?
When I told them about it and when I was telling them how I was having broken items from the flood, they were like, well,
Hold on a second. So I thought that there wasn't a washer and dryer before the new washer and dryer.
a washer and dryer down there. That's why I'm so,
That was operational.
yes.
But it had never been,
I've never used it.
it was installed, it had never been used because of the flood that broke it.
I never could use anything in the house because of the bed bugs. Let's start there.
So there was a washer and dryer in the basement. There's always been a washer and dryer.
From my old house, yes. I moved my washer and dryer that I had from my old house to my new house.
I'm not really, I don't know that I care about that. Because I was told there wasn't one, and now I'm told there was one down there. But now you're saying there was one down there and it was never used.
Yes, Your Honor.
it was hers though. It was not my client's. It was hers. And she just said that it was hers from another unit.
So was it hooked up and installed?
No, the first 3 months of me staying in my home, I could not even use my house because I had bed bugs.
But it had been hooked up, right, by your dad? but
My dad
hadn't
hooked it
been
up,
used.
yeah, it hadn't been used.
I think the last time we were here, one of the issues was there wasn't netting on the drain house,
That's correct, Judge.
right?
Which we weren't sure if there was or not, right? But you were going
I
to
think
ask.
it was said it
No, she
wasn't.
said she didn't. Yeah. She
There
said she
wasn't
didn't
one.
put anything on it.
On the hose.
Right.
Not that I can remember. I don't even know what that is. I'm so dumb.
Well, but if you're there and using it, you would know because you would have to change it occasionally.
Okay.
Right, so there was not something on the post that you changed. Okay.
So I guess I get back again. If now there's a washer that's down there that's hooked up, but you're saying not used.
Currently, there is a washer that is being used.
No, but now you're saying, before you said to me there wasn't a washer, that the floods were occurring before there was a washer and dryer.
The floods occurred before the washer and dryer were used, but when they were present in there.
Okay, that's not what you said before, but I now understand. That's what's being said. And you're saying the flooding just happened. I have nothing in writing from the tenant saying that notifying the landlord of this flood.
Correct. It was notified over the phone.
Over the phone, text messaging.
Okay, so listen to what I just said. There's nothing in writing to the landlord informing them of this flood.
I know you had texts later. Did you have texts on the flood? Okay, we don't believe so, Your Honor.
Well, that's not a statement. You don't believe so, but she would have been the one putting it in writing. So
Right.
did she or didn't she?
Do you remember whether or not you texted the landlord? It's okay if you don't remember, it's okay.
Just always just text them. Anytime there's water, I just would text them. I would text Rob. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, can you,
What I
can
said
you,
writing.
can you check your texts with her?
What are we doing now?
We're checking her texts with the repair receipt. See if there is something in writing.
In writing.
Yeah, so we're looking for something from March of 2020. I don't know if she would have had his number back then. I can't see the page. Okay, so there were not text messages onward. There were just.
I'm sorry, there was no text message. So then I'm gonna ask the question, if you have the number to text, why didn't, if there's water in your basement as high as you're saying it is, why wouldn't you text the person?
Did you have the number to text at that point?
I would just call me, like, I would call the emergency.
Folks, no, listen to my question. At some point, you just checked about text messages. And so you're telling me that this water is somewhere up to your knee in the basement. You called. My question is, why didn't you text?
This was right after she moved in. I don't believe that she knew that she could text or knew what number to
Yes,
text.
if you're talking about March 2022, like why, I didn't have his number at that point. The last time I was able to text him was in May when I had got the bed bugs cleared. That's when I got his number, May.
Okay, so now I'll ask the question, when did you get the number to text?
May, when the bed bugs came in, when they finally.
May of what?
2022,
2023?
2023, I'm sorry.
And then there was flooding after that.
Yes,
Is there a text message regarding that flood?
yes,
Okay, did somebody come out?
yes.
Did they abate the flooding?
They removed all the water and they cleaned up down there, yes.
Have you seen those text messages?
No,
Scary.
no, Judge. I was forwarded a copy of the answer while you walked in, Judge, so
Pardon?
I was forwarded a copy of the answer that was,
So you just got that.
yes, Judge. Again,
Did you get the photos with it?
it's in an email, but it literally is,
You
of
haven't looked at.
course not, Judge. You were walking in and I stood up.
I do have.
Problem I
You're
have,
gonna blame me?
Hmm?
No.
problem I have is, well, everything.
Go ahead.
Everything that I delineated before. I have maintenances here. They can tell you that there's been no maintenance for water requests. My maintenance man actually saw the water and that's when he repaired it just this year, 2024.
In 2024.
Yes. But he's been there for 7 years, so he's been there the whole time.
So we did report the basement flooding in, December 4th. I know that
December 4th of,
of this year. So that is very late in the game, but just confirming that they did at least have that report coming from us to council.
okay, but understand something.
Everything.
I also have the texts from May of, oh, you were right, it was May of 2022. I'm sorry.
So what was that?
So these are texts from the Meadows to Sycamore Maintenance, reporting the flooding in her basement.
In 2022?
Yes,
Who is that to?
from Sycamore Maintenance. Do you know last name? I'm not so sure.
No,
Okay, so folks, not saying that you are, but we don't do trial by ambush. We also don't do final settlement conference by ambush. So have you shown those to plaintiff's counsel?
No,
Why not?
we only got this evidence in the last,
What?
we only got this in the last, I apologize for the wait. We've been, the way.
So we're gonna sit up here and discuss something that plaintiff's counsel hasn't seen. Is that fair?
Understood.
No. Is that fair?
I can see. how-
Is that fair? That's really a yes or no question.
No.
Thank you. Why don't we get that over to her? I'm gonna pass the matter.
Judge, I don't,
I'll get right back to you.
Oh.
I'm not gonna
Okay,
hold your
okay.
people here all day.
I appreciate, I have nothing.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe I will hold them here all day.
You can hold them, but I have
I've-
to be in court in Farmington Hills at 10:30, so.
They'll wait. All right.
Now, this last case centers on Ms. Rachel Baker facing serious felony charges for conspiracy and theft.
This is file number 242226FY, People versus Autumn Rachel Baker. She's here with her lawyer, Mr. Luke Knopfinger. She was here on some other matters a couple of weeks ago, and I arraigned her on this and set it for a pre-exam conference this morning. The charge is conspiracy to commit larceny over $20,000, which has to do with a truck, and the second count of larceny in a building. First count is a felony punishable by 10 years imprisonment. The second count is a felony punishable by up to 4 years imprisonment. I was just about to call Miss Baker and find out what the deal was, and she called us, said she would be here shortly, and she was. Mr. O'Bear, what's the status here?
Oh, I talked to Mr. Knopfinger. Sounds like there's gonna be a request for an adjournment since the late contact with his client. And we'd agree to an adjournment until next Tuesday morning for a new PCC date.
All right, is that agreeable? All right, what happened this morning?
I was up all night because my daughter's sick and I had just woke up late from lack of sleep.
I tried calling you at the number that ends in 8732. Is that accurate?
No,
I don't know where we get these numbers. I joke, only partially in jest, that they have a random number generator. I have a writer number down on here. So I did leave a message. I don't know who I left it for. But we will adjourn this to pre-exam conference for next Tuesday, which would be back on Judge P's calendar, January 14th, 25 at 1, and prelim if needed, January 21st, 25, or the first one's at 8:30, excuse me. Prelim if needed would be at 1. Have you contacted your lawyer?
I did. I left a voicemail. I don't know if.
When
he
was
might have
that?
been busy. I did it, I believe, a week after my first court date.
All right, you need to be more diligent. One of the problems, Mr. Knopfinger is here all the time.
Mhm.
So sometimes he's hard to get a hold of, but he does. So I don't know whether that number worked. Luke, do you have that number? It ends in 3720?
Yep. I got it, Judge, and we have an office appointment.
Oh,
we
very
set
good.
Between now and Tuesday, so.
He has an opulent office on Main Street in Three Rivers.
The rent is opulent as well, Judge.
It's very easy to find. That will be Tuesday, January 14th, 2025 at 8:30 for pre-exam conference, courtroom D at 8:30. All right, Ms. Baker, meet with your lawyer and come back next Tuesday morning. I'm glad you made it.
That's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.